On this episode of China Uncensored, China wants to build megacities with more people than any city in human history. But megacities could also mean mega problems. Hi, welcome to China Uncensored. I'm your host, Chris Chappell. Nothing screams long-term viability like heavy-handed central planning. Just ask the Soviet Union. Oh wait, you can't. But the Chinese Communist Party still believes in central planning. And that's why they want to build not one, not two, but as many as 19 megacities. Some of them could be home to more than 100 million people. And really, what's not to love about living in a giant Chinese city? Now sure, central planning can occasionally have some small downsides. Like that one time in the 1950s when Mao Zedong suggested that people make steel in their backyards instead of farming their crops. And then like 50 million people starved to death. But oops, right? Or more recently, how the Chinese authorities have built several ghost cities like Ordos that hardly anyone moved into because they're too expensive and there are no jobs. See, they're learning from their mistakes. And besides, these new megacity projects will be totally different. A few years ago, I talked about Jingjingji, the new megacity the party is building around Beijing. Well, apparently that's working so well, they want to make another 18 of them. The concept behind the megacities is the cluster policy. China's central planners believe that by creating mammoth urban clusters anchored around giant hubs and containing dozens of nearby cities, they can increase productivity and accelerate economic growth. This idea is called the theory of agglomeration benefits. It says that the bigger a city gets, the more productive it is per person. Supposedly, that's because a large labor market makes it easier for employers to find the right workers. And as companies work together more closely, more efficient supply chains are formed. Know-how also spreads more easily, and that increases innovation. According to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or OECD, doubling a city's population can increase productivity by 2 to 5%. Some experts say that in China, these gains could be even greater. One New York University scholar says that if done right and integrated well, China's city clusters could achieve levels of productivity never seen before. He compares it to the difference between England and the rest of the world during the Industrial Revolution. I mean, who could argue with that much productivity? Labor economists are practically drooling right now. But it's possible, just possible, that despite the best intentions of Communist Party officials, China's megacities won't be integrated perfectly. And if so, that could cause a host of problems. Just think of all the nasty stuff big Chinese cities are already known for, like crowds, traffic jams, pollution, security checkpoints before you get on the subway. Wait, no, I said subway. That can't be the right photo. What's that, Shelley? Oh, they did introduce airport-style security checks temporarily in Beijing after an alleged terror attack in a totally different part of the country. Anyway, take all the standard big city issues and multiply them across 100+ million people. And multiply that by 19 megacities. That's one heck of a math problem. But one of the most widespread problems with megacities is also one of the most basic. Simply getting from A to B. Theoretically, high-speed train lines could make this easy. But that's not quite the case in all of these future megacities. For the Wang family, A is Yanjiao, a 700,000-strong bedroom community where Mr. Wang lives, and B is Beijing. Mr. Wang gets up at 5 a.m. to stand for over an hour in a line that stretches for several blocks for a bus to Beijing. More specifically, for a bus to Beijing for his daughter.
如果是他坐不上坐稳了，老人心里就心不安，所以说每天都给他排队。
The commute to Beijing is so bad that people's elderly parents stand in bus lines on behalf of their children so they can get an extra hour of sleep and not burn out. Then there's Miss Ding Shu, who works in Shanghai and lives in Kunshan, a satellite town linked to Shanghai by subway. she's out of luck too. When you factor in her bus ride to the subway, security checks to enter the station, walking time and waiting time, she spends about 4 hours a day commuting. In Yanjiao, there's also a lack of schools and hospitals. The services are bad, says Zheng Lingyun, whose 6-year-old was one of 65 kids in a grade 1 classroom, according to this New York Times article aptly titled, "As Beijing becomes a super city, the rapid growth brings pains." But maybe the economic benefits outweigh the drawbacks. Well, the jury's out on that too. In an article from the Journal of the Asia-Pacific Economy called "Did City Cluster Development Help Improve Labor Productivity in China?", the authors write that the empirical results reveal that the city cluster strategy initiated in China's 11th five-year plan has not produced any significant impact on labor productivity, with one exception, the Yangtze River Delta superregion. Research shows that counties tied to this cluster enjoy a 6% boost in productivity. According to China Briefing, the Yangtze River Delta cluster, which combines Shanghai and several neighboring cities, already accounts for about 20% of China's GDP and is the country's richest region. And the supercity they want to make it into has a population of about 150 million people. That's bigger than the entire populations of Canada, the UK, and Australia combined. And again, China's urban planners are building 19 of these megaclusters. The average population of the 5 biggest ones is 110 million. But one reason they're doing it is actually to decrease the size of major cities within each cluster. The Chinese Communist Party doesn't want too many people living in Beijing or Shanghai, so they'll limit the populations there and force people to move into these bedroom communities that are part of the same mega clusters. But a big problem for these smaller cities is that tax revenues from these places don't stay there, but are instead pocketed by the central government and distributed as they see fit. This means needy cities have a big problem to find ways to pay for new schools, roads, or bus service. Changing this would mean restructuring how taxes are collected and distributed, and that would mean giving some centralized control to the people in the community. And according to that same NYU scholar, giving power to the people is the very key to make megacities something more than just a mega pipe dream. He says the central government should share authority and give local communities an opportunity to organize themselves.
If the central government tries to do everything, they are going to mess up because they are not going to answer the local needs.
But fostering a civil society in which people actually have a say in how they run their lives has never exactly been the strong suit of the Chinese Communist Party. Power grows out of the barrel of a gun was Chairman Mao's infamous saying, not power to the people. And now it's that time when I answer questions from fans who support China Uncensored on the crowdfunding website Patreon. Colin Lee Bradford asks, do you think that there is an active campaign to rewrite Chinese history? Rewriting history is a classic move of the Chinese Communist Party. First, there's all those ancient maps the party keeps discovering that prove Chinese claims to disputed territory since ancient times. And the Communist Party has launched several campaigns that changed how people looked at history. For example, in 1973, people were required to criticize Confucius in the Criticize Lin, Criticize Confucius campaign. Lin referred to Lin Biao, and that's a whole nother story. But these days, the Communist Party is using Confucius, setting up Confucius Institutes around the world to spread party propaganda. And the Communist Party was photoshopping before it was cool. Before it even existed, actually. Here's a picture of Mao Zedong looking awfully emaciated with 3 of his close comrades. Except Bo Gu on the left was purged and edited out from the history books. History is what you make of it, I guess. So if you'd like to have me answer your questions on the show, support China Uncensored with $1 or more per episode on Patreon. Your support is what helps keep the show alive, and you'll get some cool perks. Link is below. And what do you think about China's great plan to condense into a country of super regions? Leave your comments below. Once again, I'm your host, Chris Chappell. See you next time. Hey, if you like China Uncensored, be sure to subscribe and turn on that notification bell. Actually, YouTube has not really been notifying subscribers, even if they turn the notification bell on, so just check back every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for new episodes. And hey, hit that like button while you're at it.